This week's parsha, we continue to learn about Abraham and his legacy and all of his teachings and inspiration that he left behind to us up until this very day. And one of the unique character traits we learned about Abraham was the fact that Abraham was an educator. In fact, the Torah says the reason why God chose to reveal to him about the people of Sodom and the story of Sodom was precisely because, as the Torah says, because Abraham would command his children and his family after him, and they would keep the ways of God in this world. So you would expect to see, based upon that description, multiple dialogues and conversations that Abraham would have with his children and descendants about the importance of following the path of God in life. However, upon a closer look, we see very brief mention of any conversation that Abraham had with his son Yitzchak. In fact, the only conversation that's recorded between Abraham and Yitzchak is the end of this week's parsha as they approached Har Moriah, the Mount of Moriah, for the binding of Isaac, for the Akedah Yitzchak. Yitzchak asks, "Where is the sacrifice?" And Abraham responds. And that's the grand total of the conversations that's recorded in the Torah between Abraham and Yitzchak. So why is it that Abraham was known as an educator, where in fact we find him teaching very little in terms of what he actually conversed with his son Isaac, and by extension Yishmael as well? I think this really underscores the importance of an educator and a leader is not so much talking the talk as much as walking the walk. Abraham was not going around and preaching to everybody and telling everybody what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. Rather, Abraham presented himself as a role model, as a person that people can emulate, as a person that someone can look up to. And based upon that, Abraham became a resource of inspiration and education. So in fact, there was very little that Abraham went ahead and told Yitzchak, his son, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do. Rather, it was the way Abraham lived his life, and that's what made him a unique educator. Folks, in our lives, many times we struggle with how to convey ideas and values to our children and students. Let us remember the lesson of Abraham and remember that it's less about preaching and telling them what to do and more about being a role model and an inspiration to them in their lives. Have a wonderful Shabbos.